And the Bible says, now David said, is there still anyone who is left of the house of Saul, that I may show him kindness for Jonathan's sake? And there was a servant of the house of Saul, whose name was Ziba. So when he had called him to David, the king said to him, are you Ziba? And he said, at your service. Then the king said, is there not still someone of the house of Saul, to whom I may show kindness of God? And Ziba said to the king, there is still a son of Jonathan who is lame in his feet. So the king said to him, where is he? And Ziba said to the king, indeed, he is in the house of Mishar, the son of Amiel, in Lo Debar. Then King David sent and brought him out of the house of Mishar, and the son of Amiel, from Lo Debar. Now when Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, had come to David, he fell on his face and prostrated himself. Then David said to Mephibosheth, and he answered, here is your servant. So David said to him, do not fear, for I will surely show you kindness for Jonathan, your father's sake, and will restore to you all the land of Saul, your grandfather, and you shall eat bread at my table continually. You may be seated. For those of you that are subject-minded, I want to talk to you the topic tonight, and I want you to make this personal. I want to talk to you the topic tonight. I must leave Lo Debar. I must leave Lo Debar. We're focusing on saying yes and walking in a wealthy place. But before we can get in that wealthy place, we have to dig deep down on the inside of us. There's some things that God needs to deliver us from. There's some people that God needs to rescue us from. There's some places that God needs to change our heart, but we won't get so excited about going through those places anymore. But ladies, let me say this to you. We're living in a time where 9-year-old girls are going into the doctor because they're having problems down there. And not only are they finding out that they're infected with the human papillomavirus, but a lot of them are finding that they're pregnant for men that are 30 and 40 years old. So we're living in a time where you cannot afford to be in Lo Debar because young girls are dying because you're stuck in Lo Debar. You're not doing what God has called you to do. You won't testify on behalf of the Lord. And as a result of that, our young girls are dying. But you busy coming to church singing because you happy, singing because you free. And our babies are literally dying. We're living in a time when most young girls will never know what it's like to be married. Divorce is at an all-time high. And you dressed up with your cute stuff, with your St. John's and your comfort suit, with your head in the air, and your sister is struggling, and you don't care. And you call yourself a Christian. But I understand that tonight, when you're in Lo Debar and you're lame and you're crippled, you don't focus on anybody but yourself. But I believe Mephibosheth is going to teach us some lessons tonight. Mephibosheth is going to help some of us come out of Lo Debar tonight. And I need to just make it plain to you tonight. Those of you that know me, you know that I'm honest, I'm up real, and I'm truth about it because God has been good to me. If God can bring me off the streets, out of the crack house, I know that there's nothing else that he can do. And because he's done this for me, I ain't afraid of none of y'all, so I'm not afraid to say what he has told me to say. And do what he's called me to do. I ain't got so sanctified now that I ain't gonna fight none of y'all, but I call the cops, I will call 911 in a minute. In this text, we see this lame, crippled man by the name of Mephibosheth. Tonight, we're going to talk about leaving Lo Debar. Tomorrow night, we're going to walk into that wealthy place. We're going to look at that walk or that journey to that wealthy place. But we look at this text tonight, we see Mephibosheth, who was the grandson of King Saul. You know Saul was the first king of Israel, the good-looking king that the people demanded and wanted, the king that had the six type, The king that was tall, dark, and hard-headed. You know, the king that had some citizenship. When he came into the room, the sisters would go to hitting each other, looking to the left and looking to the right, whispering to each other. It showed some jaws on that hog. Y'all know good looking power. The brother that was so cute, he became so intoxicated with himself that he went crazy. Saul starts out well, but he ends up being seduced by the spirit of jealousy to the extent that he literally cracks up. He gets so crazy that his mental problems begin to be overboard. And I believe we all a little cuckoo, but Saul's mental problems went overboard. And he hires David to play music to soothe his spirit. Now he hires this shepherd boy, this musician, to play music to soothe his spirit. And then he turns around and gets jealous of his employee. He turns around and gets jealous of David's accomplishment and tries to kill David. God had anointed David to be king, to be a warrior, to be victorious. And that made Saul jealous. Sometimes God's call on your life might even make your boss jealous. But that's another sermon for another time. In this text, Mephibosheth is a member of the house of Saul. He was a relative of David's enemy. Saul and his son Jonathan, who was actually Mephibosheth's daddy, had been killed at Jezreel. You know the story. Mephibosheth's original name was Meribah, which means the master is an advocate. The author of Samuel actually changes his name to Mephibosheth, which means scatters of shame. So Mephibosheth's daddy and his granddaddy had been killed, and they had been killed, and as a result of what was going on at that time, the nurse grabbed Mephibosheth. He was about 5 years old, the Bible says, and she begins to flee. She begins to run with him. And as she's fleeing and she's running with him, she drops him. And as a result of her mishandling him, he ends up being lame in both of his legs and being in Lo Debar. So as we look at this text this afternoon, as we begin this whole process of leaving Lo Debar, we begin this process of understanding that we must leave Lo Debar. Look at your neighbor and say, I must leave Lo Debar. Oh, y'all too quiet. This is a black church.